Jess was talking about creating a course on
air my dirty laundry.
Yeah, helping a child through, well, the title wasn't even helping a child. It was just
social awkwardness.
Yeah, helping with social awkwardness. And then she looked straight at me and said, "This might be a good one for you, Scott." And then I just blankly stared at her for a minute, wondering, what should I say?
Right, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure I had some sort of a comment, but
you told me I should make a bullying course.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then give it to myself.
Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, he can take it and he can give it right back. So don't feel too bad for Scott.
Yeah, Jess says so herself.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's why we shouldn't do any opens anymore. I feel like just
get
straight to it.
I'm sure there's at least one person that actually enjoys these cold opens like this that have very little to do or nothing to do with the actual episode.
Yeah.
Welcome to Robot Unicorn, hosted by my parents, Jess and Scott. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Let's talk about how we can be distracted by our phones. I wish I was on TikTok right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'd prefer.
Yeah, I'm sure you would prefer that.
I wish I was Snapchat.
Today's episode is on
baddies.
Yuck. All right. Today's episode is on parental phone use. Jessica, I'm looking at you.
Okay. Look at me all you want.
So I wanted to start with something that I think most parents have felt, where you're in the middle of a moment with your child, playing or doing something, or maybe you're at the park or just playing on the floor or whatever, and your phone buzzes. You tell yourself it's just a quick check, but then 5 minutes later you look up and your child has since moved on to something else. And I think there's this feeling of guilt that we often feel. So can you talk about this feeling? I guess this parent's paradox. I think I read that somewhere, parent's paradox, which I kind of like that sound of that, where our phone is both kind of our lifeline, but also a source of deep guilt.
I mean, I feel like you nailed it right there, right? To fully get into my answer, I think we'll get into the episode, but I think two things are true. Like, yes, our phone is our lifeline. Yes, it's the way people get in contact with us. And yes, sometimes our guilt is necessary when it comes to phone use, because I think a lot of the times we are on our phone too much. And I think for myself, sometimes when I start to feel that guilt, it's like, do I really need to text my friend about this meme right now? You know, I rarely text about a meme, but you know what I mean? Like, does this text actually really matter in this moment? Can this wait till my child goes to bed or I'm not at the park playing with them? Right. And so I feel like there's a balance of like, yes, sometimes we have to be on our phone, or sometimes like there's something urgent happening at work and we have to email back and forth, and like, or we have bills to pay and people, you know, they see you at the park on your phone, but really you're e-transferring like 5 people that, you know, bills that have to be paid or whatever. There's always this balance, but I do think sometimes the guilt that we feel can urge us to really question ourselves. Like, do we have to be on our phone right now? Or maybe this could wait for later. I don't know. You might have different perspective than me, because I have been feeling very, not necessarily guilty, but just called to try and be on my phone less in front of the kids. Yep. And I've noticed since being on my phone so much less since January, which if you guys remember, that was one of my New Year's resolutions, and I've actually stuck to it quite well. I've noticed that what I used to think was like an urgent thing I have to respond to, although my friends maybe don't love it, it can usually wait till the kids are in bed, and then I can get back to all my texts or whatever it is. Yeah,
and I would say that's a poor example. Using texts, like you're a notoriously terrible texter, where you don't text back for like 5 days sometimes.
Yeah, I guess I'm a bad texter.
It's more, I think for you, it's more work related. You're looking at DMs and stuff on Instagram, comments, all that kind of stuff, and you'll check and then be on there for whatever amount of time. So it's work related, but you can still do it when. Well, even that, like I feel. Right?
Sometimes I'm doing that. Then I'm like, why am I checking this right now? I could check this later, right? And like I have to. What I'm trying to say about the guilt is like I think I hear a lot from people like, just trying to like shut down the feeling of parental guilt. But sometimes I do think the guilt is important to just be curious about and see if there is any truth behind it. Because sometimes guilt is just an indicator that we're living in a way that doesn't actually align with our values.
Yeah, might need to change something up a little bit.
So I'm basically what I'm trying to say is parental guilt is not always a bad thing. And sometimes we can be curious about it and realize I don't need to feel guilty right now. Or maybe it makes sense that I feel guilty because I'm not acting in a way that aligns with my values.
Yeah. Well, and I think the point where you said paying bills, and some might say, well, just wait until the kids are in bed. You don't have to do that at the park. I think that is potentially possible for a time until your kids are old enough to stay up later, and then they're almost up.
We were just talking about this in the last episode.
Yeah.
Like our kids, it's summer right now, but like our kids have been up later. We have like 45 minutes to an hour, like some days, but by the time they go to bed, you kind of tidy the house, you sit on the couch, maybe 45 minutes. And if you have bills to pay, you have things that you have to do, people to get back to, that's all completely taken up by doing that. So I do think that there is a level in which if you are with your kids all day long and they're at the park and they're nicely playing and you want to spend that 30 minutes trying to get back to some people or, you know, catching up on some stuff, like to me, that's not something I'd feel bad about.
Yeah, it's probably more if you're doing that and then every moment that you're with your kids, or most moments you're with your kids, you'll be distracted by your phone. Like I would say I'm worse for that than you are. Because my brain just works where I'm like, I randomly have this idea. I'm like, oh, I got to look into that for a second. It's like something on the house that I want to alter this little thing. And I'm like in the one bathroom on our main floor, we don't have a fan, like a bathroom fan for some reason. So then yesterday, all of a sudden we're talking about that. And I'm immediately like, okay, let me look. What kind of wall, like, are there wall mounted fans that go into bathrooms like this one that will stop snow in the winter and hot air from coming in the summer and like all that stuff? And so I go down a whole rabbit hole because I am quite positive I'm going to forget about what I'm doing.
Maybe
That's because I use the phone too much that I feel like I won't remember things. I don't know.
I feel like you definitely have a habit for that of like anything we're talking about. Like I could bring up any topic and within seconds you're on your phone looking at it. And I've had to call you out before to be like, I just want to talk to you about this. I don't need you to research it right now. Like we just want to have a conversation about this. But I think it's just how your brain works. You're like, I want to get the right answer. I don't want to forget. I don't want to lose this. Or like, even if it's just like a fact about some, like, oh, whose voice is that? And then all of a sudden you're like, we're watching a cartoon and Scott's like, oh, I recognize that voice. Whose voice is it? And all of a sudden you're on your phone. Like,
well, usually it's
researching it.
I say it's this person's voice.
Yeah, and
you're like, I don't hear
sure.
it. And then, or even yesterday we were watching a movie and I hear a Kiwi or New Zealander accent, which Jess and the kids can't tell the difference between a Kiwi accent and an Australian one. So then I was like, I have to confirm this, that I'm correct. And then it was, in fact.
But then I think what happens is then you're like, I have to confirm this.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
No, I know.
You get on your phone and now all of a sudden, oh, I'm looking at the news or I'm on here. Now I'm on Amazon. Like,
well, it's usually I end up on the 3D printing forums of Reddit.
Or
like the electronics
we all
forums
have our
of Reddit.
crutch.
Yeah.
And that's your crutch. But
I love seeing projects that people are working on. And like one right now I'm working on is creating a little custom small keyboard that has a bunch of programmed keys on it to do different things on my computer. And
I do feel this has to do with the way your brain works in terms of like, I don't know if it's the ADHD or what, but like, I feel like you're like quickly, like you hear about something, you have to research it immediately without sometimes noticing the way that interrupts the flow of a conversation or the way that might make your child feel who's sitting there and not, because sometimes we don't know what you're researching. We don't know what you're doing on your phone. So for us, we're having a conversation. For you, you're like, oh, I'm researching this thing that you just mentioned and I'm going to tell you about it. But you don't say that. So all I see is I'm talking to you now. You're not looking at me. Right. And I think that's where sometimes our arguments come into play and the kids notice it too. That's not to say what you're doing on your phone isn't like fine. It's just
Yeah,
sometimes.
and it's also not like I'm on there 24/7.
No, you're not.
But
I'm
the times when
picking on you,
Yeah,
but
because
I do the same thing, right?
you do. We'll be in the middle of a conversation. You'll be like, oh, I have to check my DMs or something like that. And
Oh, and you get sucked in.
yep.
I was just talking to my brother about this the other day. He was saying he also uses Instagram for work, although he has like 200 followers, but he posts about the things that he does, right, on his Instagram account. And he said that he noticed that he had literally just got his daughter out of the car seat, was like carrying her to the house, had his like 2-year-old and not his 2-year-old, his baby was like in the car carrier. He's carrying her to the house. He opens up his phone and he just opens Instagram. He just starts scrolling through, seeing who's liked his posts. He's like, why am I doing this right now? And I'm like, yeah, that's how it gets you. Like it's it's route. He's like, and then I'm like on Instagram scrolling, just walking to the house. And I'm like, how did I even get here? Right.
That is something we will cover
Yeah.
later in this episode. And then our next episode next week on AI.
Okay. But yeah, him and I actually had that conversation when I was at their house the other day. And we were just talking about how even as intentional as you want to be, sometimes you just route, like by default, open up your phone, all of a sudden you're on it and you don't even realize how long it's been. And then you're like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. And so anyway, just to normalize that it's not like we all do this to different degrees and we all have our things. Like maybe your thing is researching random stuff and looking on 3D printing forums. My thing is checking my DMs and my comments and being on my Instagram. Typically, everyone has their thing, but it's tough out there.
I'm wondering if you've heard of the word techno-ference, because that came up quite a bit not quite a bit, but it came up in the research that I looked at. And it's not just about being distracted, but it's about technology actively interfering in our relationships. So I saw multiple references to this term techno-ference.
I've never heard it, but I can understand what it means.
So from your clinical or therapist perspective, how do you see this techno-ference showing up in families you work with? And what's the emotional toll it takes on parents who feel caught in this cycle?
Where I see this come up the most is within couples.
Oh.
Like in terms of the family as a whole, like, yes, it definitely is impacting the kids. Maybe they're also on their own screens, so they're not seeing it as much, or they're just not naming it as much. But I see this as the number one thing couples are fighting about right now.
Like between the two?
Between the two of them.
Oh.
Because it's exactly what you and I were just starting to bicker about, right? Like it's...
Were we bickering?
Not bickering, but like it could be seen as that, like I'm picking on you and then you're like, well, you do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Right. And what's the underlying thing? Well, we both want to feel seen and heard when we're having conversations with each other.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
So when I feel like I'm trying to talk to you and you're distracted, I get annoyed because I'm like, listen to me. But then you're like, wait, you just did the same thing to me 15 minutes ago when you weren't interested in the conversation I was trying to have with you. You didn't listen to me. So then we almost get a sense of like, well, you do it to me all the time, so why can't I do it to you?
Yep.
And it becomes this like bitterness between the two of us where like if you're bored by what I'm trying to tell you, then you're like, well, when she was bored by me telling her about my 3D printing, she was on her phone. So I'm bored about her talking about a deep, profound desire for longing and an ache of hope that's within all of us that I was trying to tell you about the other day. So I'm going to be on my phone. You know what I mean? So I think not that we're this bad, but this is the number one thing that couples are fighting about. And it really, the deeper thing is everyone wants to feel heard and seen when they're having a conversation with their partner. And techno-ference is a great description of like, you're having a conversation like this and all of a sudden it's almost like a wall has gone up, whether or not you're still listening.
Oh, there was a lot of interesting stuff on this. Honestly, I found it quite interesting, mostly because for our work, we use our devices quite a bit. And that means that we are on them often. And I feel like we are essentially trained, our brains are trained to use them at this point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we go through, it's very interesting, the science that's been done on it. And one of the most interesting concepts to me from developmental psychology is the still face experiment, where an infant becomes distressed when their parent suddenly becomes unresponsive. And the research suggested that a parent absorbed in their phone is creating a digital still face, so essentially doing the same thing where they're not giving any response to their child. So can you break down for our listeners what is happening in a child's brain and body when they repeatedly experience this from their caregiver? Because that's what can happen. You're creating this still face, and then you're not. What is it? I thought it was I'm sure I have it written somewhere, but is it serve and response or something like that? Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't know. I don't know tennis that well, so forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but it sounds like relationships are often you are looking into someone's eyes, you're seeing their body language, you're trying to gauge how they're thinking and what they're thinking about, and how what they think of you through not only their words but their facial expressions or the way their body is positioned, all that. But when you have a still face, you're not doing any of that.
It's very unnerving for a child when their parent does not give them a response, right? So this is where actually a lot of parents used to be taught to ignore their kids, right? So that the behavior would stop, because when you ignore your child by giving them that still face reaction, it is so uncomfortable for a child, and they so badly want their parent to give them like this warm, nurturing, loving expression that's why the behavior would stop, right? Because it is so distressing to be ignored. But this is where it is coming into play with phones, technology use, because we are actually not intentionally trying to ignore our children. We might be in the room with them at the time, right? But to our children, it's still coming across as being ignored. Whether or not that is our intention, that is how it's being received. And it makes sense. Like you think of, let's say I'm on my phone scrolling through my DMs and scrolling through Instagram, and I'm seeing tragedy after tragedy. I'm reading DMs that are like stressful, like difficult things are happening. My brain is in this world of what I'm seeing online, and it's not in the world of my children are running around the sprinkler with their freezies in their hand, right? Like it's so hard to even be present in what's actually happening with our kids. So then by the time our kid is saying, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," and all she wants me to do is just like push her freezie up so she can finish eating it, I've just consumed all this traumatic news, and my brain is now in like fight or flight mode based on everything I just saw. And it's really hard to even be present in the moment with her. Like this is what's happening to us, which has never happened before, because it's not like our parents had access to the news 24/7 a day or
6 p.m. on weekdays or something, right? You'd watch the news at that time if that's what you.
There was like a ritual to it, at least. There's no ritual to it.
Now it almost seems like the expectation is that you should be looking at it 24/7.
Right. And if you don't know what's going on, then like that's a problem. So, or even like the drama that I can bring up even in friends. Like I hear this all the time with moms, right? It's like all of a sudden they open up Instagram and they see a picture of all these moms hanging out together at the park, and they're at home with their kids, right? Like you would never have known before having social media that all these moms were on a play date together and you weren't invited or whatever. And now it's hard to be present with your kids because you've just seen this, or you're comparing yourself, or you're feeling bad that you don't have friends like that. And so, yeah, it's coming across as this still face because you're deeply locked into what you're seeing, so much so that it's hard to like shift your focus on the child that's in front of you. I mean, there's so many things that I'm noticing are just unhealthy about it. Like to have access all the time to all of this information and people and everything. I don't think we're meant to know everything all the time, like at all hours of the day.
For someone like me, it is honestly, I think it has made, maybe I always had ADHD, I think, but I think it's made it way worse.
Totally.
Because it takes nothing for me to pull out my phone and have it in front of me and be like, oh, I know I need this thing. Oh, like I'm looking right now. I can see our grocery order is picked, so we can pick it up later.
Yeah.
right? So, and I can see all these Slack messages from teammates and all that kind of stuff.
And before you know it, you're reading them all.
And I'm reading them all. I have to respond to all of it. I have to make decisions based on it. Like for me, or even I am walking around the office or the house and I'm like, oh, it would be convenient if we had this. It would make our lives a little bit more efficient, easier, so we don't have to waste too much time doing this. That's usually what I'm on my phone for.
But your brain is like your brain works so fast, and the phone just like, I think, enables that, right? So it's like, oh, I need this fan. Okay.
There's nothing to inhibit me to slow me down. And I don't know, it allows me to do things way faster, which is great. But then I think that has an effect, a negative effect on other aspects of my life. And
you're not alone like that.
No, I think that's a common problem. Like, I don't think, even talking with friends, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's so hard. But the unintended consequence of that is like, we're kind of in our own little bubble, I feel like, when we use our phones, and we're not always noticing the way that is picked up by our children or by our spouse or partner or whoever it is.
I don't know. The way I've been thinking about it recently, especially after doing some research on this last week, is that if our kids are older, do I want them to use their phone in the same way I'm using it? Because let's just say if this is the way I'm using it, let's just assume that that's how they are also going to.
Right. So then would you feel comfortable with that?
Am I going to feel comfortable with them using it in the same way? And I'm likely not. Right. So it's been starting to make me think that way a little bit more, because I think that's sort of the reality. Technology is not going to go away. They're going to have phones or some variation of it by the time they get to the age where they can use it.
Yep.
So do I want them using it in the same way I'm using it? And if not, then maybe it's time for me to make a change.
Totally.
And now here's another thing. So we don't have to feel so guilty about being caught in this, because I think it's easy to feel guilty and it makes sense. And we should listen to that, because that means maybe we can make a change. But the research, and I mean, this is well known, this isn't just a lack of willpower.
Yes.
The research talked about this architecture of addiction. So infinite scrolling, notifications, reward loops, and all of them are purposefully designed to capture our attention and keep us there for as long as possible. And big companies, large corporations want us there as long as possible, because that's how they make more and more money, which makes sense. So how important is it for parents to stop blaming themselves and instead understand they're up against a powerful system? And do you think shifting that mindset from I'm failing to I'm potentially being manipulated, does that help?
I think it helps with the self-compassion. Like for me, I think when I started, like, just a personal note, really posting on our Mama Village or Nurtured First at the time, I was unaware of how that was going to affect me from an addiction level. And I remember, like, just craving, like, I want to go on. I want to see what the likes are. I want to see what the comments are and, like, what the DMs are, and, like, feeling this, like, I have to look, I have to check all the time. And I don't think at the time I could have identified what was actually going on. Like, I felt like, oh, I just need to check because I don't know what people are saying or whatever. But I think what was actually happening was I was forming this addictive pattern, right? Of like, I have to go on, I have to check, I have to see. Right. And it definitely disrupted my time with the kids at times, because I get irritated or annoyed with them when they're asking me to hang out or play or whatever. Over time, I've come to understand that that's what was happening, and that platforms like Instagram are designed to make me addicted to them, right? And then working on it, it's even worse. Like, I'm not just scrolling, I'm also looking to see what people are saying and checking how posts are doing and whatever. So I think over time, understanding that that is what that platform is meant to do has helped me be like, okay, you don't want to be addicted to this, right? You need to have these boundaries in place, because it's not healthy to check this all the time, to be on here all the time. And that's helped me make some changes that were really essential. So I think it is important to understand the way it impacts your brain, so that you can put your own boundaries in place and not be on it all the time just because you feel like you should.
Well, and it's again, it's, I think, important to at least understand that these platforms are specifically designed to keep you on for as long as possible. So even for me being on Reddit, it is specifically designed to keep me there for as long as possible, distract me with all of these different, again, fun things. I love building things. I love building these little electronics projects, whatever, doing stuff for the house. I can find it all there and see people who've done it and what they went through for the final solution. And
never ending.
And it's never ending. Yeah. I can find millions of whatever different type of thing I want to 3D print, or maybe I'm troubleshooting an issue with my printer and trying to figure that out. I can find it on there. Or maybe I want to figure out some issue with our soffit on our house. I can find it on there. And that just, well, I think it's both. There's a level of instant gratification, so it immediately rewards you. But then there's also, like for you being on Instagram, there's that intermittent reinforcement, which, if I understand correctly, is the most powerful type of reinforcement. So you don't get rewarded every time, but you get rewarded often enough that it drives you to do it more.
Right. And it makes you be like, oh, I want to make, like it used to make me be like, oh, I want to write the next post. Like, we'll see how that one does. Like, I want to do more. I want to do another story. That has shifted for me a lot over time when I've come back to my values. But like, I just wanted to say that because I think we need to hear from people who've been there, why you get in that situation where you're all of a sudden watching it all the time, or you're stuck and you notice yourself for no good reason being on it, right? Like, it's designed to make you do that.
Yep.
And it's not just like you have no willpower. It's literally a system designed to make you addicted.
Yep.
And that's why we want to model something different for our kids, because I would be devastated if all of our kids were addicted to their phones, you know, and we are
Problem
probably...
is that's already happening. We can see it happening now in the world, right?
And like for us, we didn't grow up with phones, right? So we didn't get this till we were adults, and we still got addicted.
I know.
So that's the thing that really motivates me, is like, we didn't get phones. You and I got our first phones together, I think, in university.
Yeah, you had one that you could do T9 on, like texting.
Yeah, and
on
then
it
remember
or
I
right?
dropped it in a river, and then
yeah.
I had it for like a couple months. I accidentally fell out of my pocket, and then I was like, I don't need another phone.
Yeah.
And then I got one again in university, and like it only did T9, like nothing else. Remember, it was a simple flip. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah, right.
Classic. That thing lasted, and
you could drive over that thing.
yeah,
I think it was Nokia, so of course it did.
Yeah, it was classic. And we still got addicted.
Yep.
Right? And we had all of our formative years without these devices. Now,
most of them, yeah. We had the final part of our formative years.
Right. But imagine our kids' generation.
Oh, I know.
So that's just why it's so motivating for me to get a handle on my own use, so that I can be the model I want for the kids.
Going back to what you said before about getting frustrated, like you were kind of addicted to posting on Instagram, and then you get frustrated because the kids were interrupting you and everything, and that made you maybe more stressed out. This is a common kind of feedback loop that in the research they actually described.
Okay.
So they talked about a parent is stressed, so they turn to their phone for a quick escape or to post something on Instagram.
Yep.
But that techno-ference leads to more challenging behavior from their child, which in turn creates more stress for the parent. And then you end up back on your phone because you're more stressed.
Yep.
So I was going to ask, have you seen this coping paradox in action? But you have actually described that it's happened to you.
Yes.
So how can parents begin to recognize they're stuck in this cycle then?
First, I think we need to identify our own stress, right? So even if I was just talking about when I was addicted or whatever, the time when I was really stuck on it. If I look at when that was in the grand scheme of my life, it was also after I just had our second baby, and it was the pandemic.
Yep.
So was I just addicted, or was posting on Instagram at the time also an escape for me from the realities of a very difficult life?
Well, and on top of that, I was also still allowed to travel at that time. So I was gone for several months.
Yep.
For like 6 months or something like that afterwards, like back for weekends basically, but gone for 6 months.
So I was parenting on my own, didn't have other adults to talk to. It It was the pandemic. I had a baby and a toddler. And I think signing on to Instagram and being able to create posts, talk to other people, see things doing well or the account growing, it was like, it was more than just addiction. It was also an escape from the realities of life, an escape that felt good, right? And then when it didn't feel good, it felt awful. Like if something wasn't working or posts weren't doing well or people were mad at me for whatever reason, people were mad at me that day, I took it all so personal. Like all of it was personal. And then of course that impacts the way you treat your kids. Because if you're all stressed about something going on online, you're going to like that stress comes out in your parenting, and now your kid's misbehaving more. Now you want the escape more. So you go back online, but it doesn't resolve the issue of connection, right? So like what's the greater issue, I think, behind a lot of our screen use is a desire for connection with others, with ourselves. And I think we get a false sense of connection often on social media, right? A false sense of belonging, a false sense of connection, sometimes a true sense. Like, don't get me wrong, social media has a lot of benefits to being on. You can learn a lot. Like, there's a lot of pros, but they have to be within boundaries, right? And like I know a lot of people too are like addicted to scrolling TikTok, following all these influencers on there, and like I totally get it. But I think when it starts to impact your children's behavior, instead of being like, I just want to scroll more just to numb myself out so I don't have to deal with this, I think sometimes it is a call to action to be like, this is not going to get better by me numbing myself out.
Do you think it's as easy as that, though? Like
No.
for a parent to recognize that their child's behavior is a result of them being on their phone or their computer?
I mean, if you're listening, that's a good start to this episode. And then ask yourself about your own screen use. Like, what function is it serving? Is it serving the function of like you're paying your bills, you have some entertainment on there, but mostly like it feels good the way you're using it? Or is it serving the function of like, I don't want to cope with my life and I'm stressed out, so I just go on TikTok and I scroll reels, like just to help me zone out from my life, you know? And maybe there's a time and place where screens can be a helpful tool and just zoning out for a little while. Like, I actually don't think it's all awful. Sometimes your life is really, really hard and you do want to just zone out for a little bit. I don't think, but
Right, but is that the most healthy way to do it, though?
no, like what I'm thinking is like your comfort show or something like that, right? Like if we're really stressed and we go sit on the couch and we turn on The Office, it's our comfort show. We watch it for like an hour before bed. Like, I don't see that as being like the worst thing that you can do. Or you and I sit together and we watch like funny reels for a little while before we go to bed. There's a connection piece there, right? That's different to me than I'm so stressed out. My kids are crying. I don't want to participate in this. So I'm going to just scroll through TikTok, and you notice yourself, you're not on there for any purpose. Like, you're just literally on there just to scroll, and it's like midday. I'd ask yourself if that's actually serving you, or like, what's the deeper thing? Because I know for me, when that was all going on, like the deeper thing was like really craving real connection and really craving like feeling lonely and having a hard time, right? And I don't think the answer was going to be found ever on social media. The answer was actually going to be found in like real relationships and like seeing people and stuff, right? So it's just, you have to ask yourself, how is this serving me or not? And like really take some time to look inward at why you're on there, what you're doing, and if it's going to help you be the parent you really want to be.
Yeah, okay. And I think, again, going back to recognizing if you're stuck in that cycle, seeing if there's any possibility maybe your child is acting out more or has been for a while. Is there potentially any relation between the way you're using your device and how they're acting?
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand, I think, that it can be a problem. I want to get into some solutions. And the research is big on re-engineering your environment instead of relying on willpower, which I think makes sense. Maybe let's talk about what you did then to change how you used Instagram in that time. What changes did you make to your environment that helped you do, or would you say it was strictly willpower that got you through being on there constantly?
It was a couple things. I think first it was the knowledge that this isn't working for me and it's burning me out, right? And it's not the model I want to be for my kids. So first I kind of had to establish, like, why do I even want to make a change here?
Yeah, let's say we've done all that, though. I want to
Okay.
get into how do we actually. So we've already talked about
Your why.
recognizing it's not good for us, recognizing that it's not how we want our kids to do things. What did you specifically do to help it be easier not to go on Instagram so often?
I think I had to, the environmental, I agree with. So not having my phone on me everywhere in the house that I went. I think I used to like just have my phone in my pocket all the time. I started to feel like I wanted to almost like lose my phone or just like not have it on me all the time. So I would just like leave it on the counter, kind of like flip it upside down, leave it on the counter. Another environmental thing that I have done that I know and irritates all my friends, but I have it on silent all the time, or like do not disturb. So that I don't get every single vibration, like every single notification come up for me. Cause I would notice that, like, similar to what you talked about, as soon as I get one notification, all of a sudden you're on and like check all the other notifications. Like, so even still now, like, I don't have notifications for email turned on. I always have do not disturb on. Like, I have a few people who can still get through, like you or our babysitter or whatever. But I found that even that helped me go on it much, much less because I wasn't constantly being notified about things that were happening. Like trying to place my phone somewhere that's not within reach. So for example, at the dinner table, like usually I'll leave my phone on the counter so that when we're having dinner as a family, it's not like right there for me to easily just like look at. And I find when it is right there for me to easily look at, I do look at it. Like, it's just because, again, willpower alone's not enough. Like, as soon as you're distracted by it, boom, you're on it, looking through it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then I think having these boundaries in my own head too of like, so I will be on it in front of the kids, but I like to have a reason I'm on it. So that if they say like, play with me or whatever, I can be like, you know what, guys, I have to do 30 minutes of work right now. Like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do work. Like, I want to have a reason when they ask me why I'm on it. And if they're like, play with me, and I don't actually have a valid reason that I'm on my phone, I will turn it off and I will go play with them. Like, so that's just a boundary I've set for myself, because there is times they say that and I'm just literally looking at DMs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like not actually doing anything super productive. And I will be like, you know what? You're right. Put it down, play with them. So I think it's a mix of the environmental things, knowing my reasoning, and like actually doing the work of being like, you know what? I'd probably feel better if I played with you than if I scroll reels.
I think that makes sense. Sometimes, I mean, even me being on Reddit, sometimes I'm thinking, this doesn't make a ton of sense that I'm on here right now. I already have 5 other projects I'm working on right now.
You don't need new ideas.
Yeah.
And those are the things. And then I like try and think about too, like, how would I feel if I was them right now?
Yep.
And that helps me be like, okay, I would probably hate that. So let me put it down. So it's been a journey. I think I've improved a ton. And now that I've improved so much, it definitely motivates me to continue to not be on my phone.
Yeah. And I think the big one for me is I get notifications for so many things. And the problem is for everything that we do, even something as simple as the setup we have here in the podcast studio, I control it all from my phone, right? So I can control every device in here from my phone. And then sometimes some of these apps you get notifications every day for different things. And I will go through it every once in a while and turn off notifications, but there's still always something that's giving me notifications. Then as soon as you look, you're in.
You're in. Yeah.
So I think the notifications one for me, if I can just turn that off, that would actually be the most beneficial thing. But it's just hard because I have so many different things that I'm running on there, and some of them I do need notifications for. Yeah.
I know. I do feel that helped me a ton when I just had my phone on silent all the time. But the thing is that I also am now bad at getting back to people.
Yeah, which, whatever.
I feel like another mindset shift for me.
Maybe we need a landline.
I would love a landline.
People can just call you on the landline when you're home and available. Otherwise,
to be honest, I have considered getting a landline. I think when our kids are like that age of babysitting.
That was a joke, but yeah, we can do that. Okay.
I actually think landlines are not a bad idea. I actually think about that a lot in terms of like, I take a little bit of time to get back to people. When I do, it's intentional. But like my parents, like they used to, yeah, they'd only really be on the phone at night after like we're all in bed, and then they call someone to make a plan for the weekend, right? Like we've lost that. Now it's like, it's almost someone texts you, it's like expected that I'm going to get back to you within 5 minutes. And I don't love that. Like, I don't want people to.
I think with you, it's expected you get back maybe within the week.
Yeah, 5 business
at this
days.
Point. Sometimes not even that.
But to be honest, I tell my friends that, like, hey, look, I'm not a quick texter. It's not, because one time a friend was like, is this personal? Like, why do you take so long to get back to me? But I think if you can be honest, like, unless, of course, it's something that's pressing, like, it's not a personal thing. It's just, I don't always get back to everybody right away. I'm not that person. I think when I took that pressure off my plate to constantly get back to people as soon as I got a message, it helped a lot with the phone use. But that's also my personality compared to your personality. That'd probably stress you out to have all those lingering texts.
Mm-hmm. I like inbox zero.
Yeah, you like inbox zero. We're comfortable with different things.
I can't even look at Jess's phone or computer because you look at her mail app and it might be like 4,000 or 5,000 unread emails, and that.
Not anymore. Now I have someone who helps me.
Even your personal inbox, though?
Oh, no, not that.
I guarantee you, it's in the thousands.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want to say. It's all half of it's spam, though. But
yeah, and see, I would be very quick to unsubscribe. See,
different personalities. So you got to figure out what's going to work for you. Because if it's going to stress you out more to not respond, then... I mean, I've also heard...
maybe it's something... It would be good for me to be more comfortable not responding until later in the evening or something. But it's hard for me to do at this point.
Yeah, because like typically at night when I'm not working, like if I'm not working, I'll catch up on all my texts. Like that's my time I do that. I also just feel like we're not meant to be in the know of all these things at all times. Mm-hmm. Like the news. Like I don't think we're meant to like read the news at all hours of the day, all the time. Be like, it's good to be in the know, but I feel like now that we have the ability to know everything all the time, like it's almost a pressure that comes with it to like know and be passionate about everything all the time. And like, I just feel like we're not like meant to live like that. It's too much.
Okay, let's go back to what you were saying before. I do like the strategy of narrating your tech use out loud, because I think, and it's actually shows up in the research too, that's a good way of doing it. So why do you think this simple act is so powerful for modeling good digital stewardship or citizenship, And how does it change the experience for a child who is watching you potentially?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you and I were talking about before. Like when we're having a conversation, you start researching something and like me and the kids don't know what you're doing on your phone. It makes it more likely to be frustrating for the person looking at you because they're like, what are you doing? Like, I thought we were having a conversation. And in your head, you're like, this is part of our conversation. Like I'm researching something that we're going to talk about. So I think as soon as you can narrate to your child and there's like a reason why you're on there, then all of a sudden it's not just mom's on her phone because she doesn't want to play with me. It's like, oh, mom's on her phone because she has to pay her bill for the water or whatever it is, right? Or she has to get back to my teacher about piano lessons at school. Or when your children can know, then they can understand that you're not just sitting there trying to ignore them, right? I think back to the still face experiment, and also a rule I try and have is if I hear my kids say once, like, mommy, like I try and instantly look up, make eye contact with them. I'm not always perfect. I actually do. I know you don't think so.
I noticed.
You don't think so?
I saw it this weekend that you did not do that. One of the girls called for you like 4 times.
Yeah, see? Sometimes you don't hear it. That's the problem.
Yeah, they're right in front of you.
Phone. I know. They do that to you all the time too.
Know. Oh, I'm not saying I don't, but I just think it's funny that you think that you're really good at that, because
I feel like I
saw multiple situations where that did happen.
Called out. Oh, yeah. See, now that's more motivation for me to try.
See?
And here's the problem with this weekend. I had something stuck in my head, a situation that's happening, in the world, in the news. It's weighing really heavy on me. Every time I open social media, I'm reading about it. And it distracted me from real life. And it is real life and it is important. And it's okay that it was on my mind. And I feel like I was way more locked into my phone than normal because that was on my mind, which then impacted the way I was treating the kids. So like that happened to me literally this weekend. And it was kind of like just this situation that was happening online. But it's such a balance, right? Like for me, part of that is my job, that I need to talk about these things. I need to research. I need to understand. And sometimes it comes at the cost of not hearing your kids. So, hey, I'm far from perfect. I'm trying. I'm intentionally trying, but that doesn't mean I do it right all the time. Clearly, Scott will let you know.
Oh, I just think it's funny because I noticed it a couple times this weekend.
Yeah.
Even with me, you did it too. But
I know. I was distracted this weekend. I will be honest with that.
so I think extension of that, I think, yeah, of course, there are times where parents need to be on their phones. Maybe it's for work or something like that. So what's the difference between using a screen as a tool versus using it as a pacifier? And how can parents use their devices in a way that feels intentional and maybe guilt-free? I don't know if that's possible. Maybe some people don't care, but let's say maybe guilt-free rather than reactive and or distracted. And again, if we think about this in a way where we want to model to our kids how they should be using devices, I think a lot of parents, maybe people will be mad at me for saying this, but I think a lot of parents use screens as a pacifier for their child when they shouldn't also.
I mean, I think it's true. We use that as a pacifier for ourselves. And a lot of parents are like, here's the iPad with a YouTube show that's highly, highly stimulating that I know is going to keep you like watching it for longer, right? That's the reality that we have right now. And I think if we want to change it for our kids, and some people don't want to, right? I don't think that's who's listening to the podcast. But if we want to change our kids' addictions to screens, we first have to look inward and look at our own addiction to screen and ask ourselves, like, how much time am I spending online that's simply just scrolling? Like, I'm not on there to learn. I'm not on there for any function other than to just scroll endlessly, or research endlessly. But like, do I need to do this right now? Or look at threads, whatever it is. Like, everyone has their vice, like I said. For some people, it's online gaming. That's not phones, but like, they're playing games on their phone, good old Candy Crush. I'm just kidding. But do people still play Candy Crush?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
It just makes me laugh because it's like the first game and only game. I never got into phone games, but some people are doing that on their phones. So like, is it serving you? Is it serving your family, or is it just numbing you? And is there something greater? Like, maybe you need support. Maybe you need therapy. Maybe you're anxious or stressed or depressed. And like, phones are being used as a way to not cope with the realities that are going on in your life, right? Or maybe the phone use is making you stressed out. Like, even for people who are on the news so much, like, I think some people, they feel like they need to be in the know with the world so much that they read every single news article and like they're constantly reading the news. I used to be like that too. I used to be like obsessive about looking at police reports in our area, right? And I remember that. I used to like always read the news. I would like read the police reports to see like, what kind of crime has happened here or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would be able to kind of say it under the guise of like, I just want to make sure we're safe. But it became like compulsive and unhealthy to read that much of what's going on in the world, right? So ask yourself how it's truly impacting you. I think we need to do that if we don't want to pass that on to our kids.
Yeah.
Because also, like, we pass it on to our kids because, like, if we want to just scroll TikTok or Reels or whatever for hours, our kids aren't going to let us do that unless they're also pacified. So then we give them something so we can both just kind of veg out together. Okay, once in a while, sure. Like, maybe you just want to relax on a Sunday afternoon. But if that's every day.
I would argue that it's probably so addictive that it's likely never a good idea.
To give your child a show.
No, like something to use a phone and scrolling as a way to pacify yourself or a child, whatever. But I think because it's so addictive, it's probably one of those things where it's better that you just don't do it, which I mean, I do it, so I can't say. But I just think in general, the recommendation is likely
don't.
going to be, whether that's realistic or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
well, because the dopamine hits that you're getting, like with Reels especially, let's say, or TikTok, it's like boom, 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 dopamine hit. It's so much to the fact that you just want
more and more and more, and then it's not enough because the dopamine decreases over time, and then you have to do more to get that.
Yeah. And then watching a TV show all of a sudden is not enough anymore.
Yep.
Right? You can't, like, how many of us can't watch TV because
TV show and
Reels. You have to have TV and Reels. Didn't I get mad at you the other night? I'm like, can you choose one? Because your Reels are really loud and the TV was really loud. And I was like,
yeah,
I don't need both on.
Well, I feel like I was bored by whatever was on TV that you wanted to watch. So I just decided to do my own thing, but I had it loud.
But you had it loud. And I'm like, can we turn one of these off, please? Because like, why do we need two screens on at full volume right now? You know? So I think part of it maybe is if you do have a relationship where you can feel safe to talk about these things, like you've heard throughout this episode, I call Scott out on stuff and he'll call me out on things. And we really try hard not to get offended by each other when we do that, but we'll do that in the moment too.
Yep.
And sometimes we get offended by each other, but I do think we're pretty good at holding each other accountable, knowing that these are the goals that we have for our kids.
Yeah, I think the key thing is we're not trying to like dig at each other. And
like sometimes we have little arguments about it, but for the most part, I think if I'm like, hey, Scott, I just want to talk. Like, can you not be on your phone? You're good. Or if you're like, Jess, I thought you weren't going to have your phone at the dinner table. Like, put it away, right? Yeah. I think that you do need that person to kind of hold you accountable.
Okay. I have a couple questions to wrap this up because, yet again, we're almost at an hour.
Come on.
What?
We just always have so much to say.
I know. And I've skipped a lot of questions. So we've talked about a lot of different strategies. But I imagine a parent listening might still be feeling a mix of motivation and dread, thinking, have I already messed up my kid? Because I don't know for sure, but I'm sure you hear that from parents. What is, let's say, your single most important piece of advice, again, the one thing, for the parent who wants to start making a change today, but is feeling overwhelmed by guilt?
You know, I hate the one thing.
I know. It's never one thing.
Never,
but if someone's going to start
yeah.
with anything, what should they be starting with?
I mean, instead of just guilting yourself to the point where now you feel even worse about yourself, just take your guilt as information that you're acting in a way that doesn't align with your values. Ask yourself where you'd like to be, you know, find like, and maybe even write that down. Like, how do I want to use my phone in front of my kids? Like, just make your goal clear for yourself. And then see if there's one small change that you can make that's going to help you move towards that. So whether it's turning off your notifications, having a certain spot on the counter where like your phone goes during dinner time. I think if you can show to yourself and prove to yourself that you can make one small change, that momentum can make it easier for you to build upon those small changes. But start with something that feels actually realistic to prove to yourself that you can do it.
Yeah, it probably depended on a person's personality too. Like I would probably choose something that's maybe almost slightly too unrealistic or like slightly unrealistic, just to push myself a little bit further to see how far I can go.
Do you have a goal that you want to do?
I mean, yeah, I think one of the main ones is not being on Reddit as often, looking at 3D printing projects or electronics projects.
Yeah, that's probably good.
But the thing is, I could foresee me just saying that, and then I could justify like home projects. So fixing something in the bathroom or installing something new in the house, right? So it's I just like to build things, so I always love looking at how other people are building things. So
I don't think that's wrong. Maybe your goal has to be like, this is the time that I do that, instead of just like any time that you feel like doing it. Like maybe there's like a boundary of when or how. Maybe instead of on your phone, it's like, okay, I'm going to intentionally open up my computer with like a goal of this is what I'm going to look for. I don't know if there's like other boundaries. Like maybe the problem with you is like you literally could do that anytime, no matter what.
Pretty much. Right?
So then that's just always an option. Whereas if you had like a time boundary, or like a lot of people say it is helpful to set the expectation for themselves to, I'm going to do that type of thing on my computer instead. It's just a little less like, it's like the computer is still, you're on a screen, but it's a little different than the phone. It feels a little more intentional. Maybe not to you. You could probably be on your computer for hours too. Yeah.
That could be, because then I have my design software in front of me, and then I open that up, and then I'm designing things,
true.
and I have to look up certain.
So I said, I feel like
things,
for your
right?
brain, who just loves information doing this kind of thing, screens are like, it's great. A lot of benefits, which we didn't talk about, but like, it's also pretty hard to set containers for yourself. I feel like.
I'll have to think on that.
Yeah.
Come up with some.
Yeah, just think about it.
I think I definitely should, but I just don't know what it is right now. Okay, so final thing. Ultimately, I think the goal isn't to get rid of our phones, because that is quite literally just not realistic, especially for the work we do, and I'm sure a lot of other people. But the goal is to be more present with our families or with friends, build those relationships, look people in the eyes when we're talking to them. When families successfully shift their habits and reclaim that time, what's the biggest change that you've seen? And what does that reclaimed connection actually look and feel like? So if you, let's say, have been working with couples, because that's who you say struggles with it the most, when they are able to resolve this, what does that end up looking like for them?
I feel like their communication can improve a lot. It's pretty hard to communicate with someone who's, like you said, like the phone kind of feels like a wall, right? And then we get defensive over it. So I feel like communication can improve, just overall satisfaction in the relationship, because you're feeling seen, you're feeling heard, like, and physically seen too, right? A lot of the times, like even like intimacy, like physical and emotional, can improve because you don't have that thing blocking you all the time, right? It's like real connection, real conversation, does a lot more for us than when we're both on our phones.
Yeah.
And then when we have those things as couples, partners, it's easier to parent your kids and be on the same page, right? Like it's much harder to parent your kids when you guys are disagreeing or not communicating or on different pages, or like not even talking about things that matter, like your values or whatever. So I think in turn, the kids feel it because you're improving your relationship.
The couple. But then even if you decide, you know what, I'm not going to use my phone during dinner time or something like that, or you don't use your phone as much around your kids. I mean, the research was suggesting that you'll end up seeing fewer challenging behaviors even from your kids, because they'll feel like you're actually attending to their needs.
Totally, because what are challenging behaviors often saying? See me, hear me, love me, and if they feel like there's this wall between the two of you, that's your phone, they're just going to amp up the behavior in order to get that connection. So It totally makes sense.
Okay. Well, this is good.
This was good.
I've been trying to write fewer questions, but it seems like that's not helping us shorten these episodes in any way, shape, or form.
To be honest, like, how do we have so much to say to each other all the time?
I have no idea.
It's good.
Well,
maybe that's why you're on your phone so much, because you're like, I'm sick of talking to this lady.
Maybe. Well, honestly, you usually don't even allow me to talk to you about any of these topics until we've actually had so then after this, I mean, the phone use thing, we've talked about lots, but some of the other ones, you don't really allow me to talk to you about them so much.
Yeah, true. That's fair.
So now that's unlocked a whole new conversation, yeah, for us.
Perfect. Well, that's it.
It's been a slice. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Hey, thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode today. It means the world to us to have you here. If this conversation was helpful for you, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe. That just shows us if the conversation is meaningful and helpful and helps it get out to more people. Also, I just wanted to let you know that every week we have a new episode drop. And if you want to be notified when that happens, just hit the little bell icon. Again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you again next week.